Hit record. I believe we're live here. I'm just gonna
Yep,
get
we
it
got it.
perfect. I'm gonna make it bigger so that I can see everyone's comments as they jump on here. Getting super techy, you know. All right. So it's holiday
Yay.
hopes and dreams, and as you all see, I have a beautiful guest, Molly Dose. So as many of you know, I'm Rachel, and I've decided one night, I think it was, that I wanted to share some tips and ways to kind of get through the holidays. I've just been hearing so many things about how rough 2020 is and how, with all the shutdowns and everything that's going on, just trying to adapt and figuring out how to make this holiday season the best we can. And Molly was like, "Hey, Rachel, I want to talk." And I was like, "Awesome." So I'm just super stoked. So for you that don't know Molly, Molly and I go way, 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 way back to when I was in 7th grade, so long
Wow.
ago. I remember
Just
Molly.
yesterday.
Right. It feels like yesterday.
Mhm.
So we both attended a camp called Celebrate Me. That's all about like focusing on who you are and like your self-esteem. And Molly, seriously, the one thing that I will never forget, and I think I've told you this before, but like the one thing that I remember about you was how like confident you were as a counselor and how that year was the year you decided to not shave your armpits. Like for some reason, I don't know if you remember that year, but you were like, "This
I
is
sure
me."
do.
That was my year. And that I don't know if you know the influence that you had on me. I think I've shared some with you
Oh.
before, but like that is one thing that always sticks in my head. And just remembering that how confident you were, like that will always be like ingrained in my head. So I just want you to know you're
Oh.
a huge influence in my life and your story, and I'm super stoked.
Oh.
Sorry to be like you. Yeah. So I don't think you actually know how excited I am that you jumped on and said that you wanted to
Oh.
talk. So um
Awesome.
yeah, so I don't want to steal from your story because I know you have your story, but you wanted to jump on to talk more about self-care. And just from what I know about your history and what you've shared publicly and whatnot, I'm guessing you've gotten a lot of like hints and ideas of how to manage self-care, huh?
Oh my goodness. Lots. And I think we all have different experiences of when we hear the word self-care, and then if somebody tries to, tell us what would be good for us or give us a list. That's happened to me many times over the years. I've actually had 5 hospitalizations for mental health. That was like 7, 8, 9 years ago, when I was going through a really rough patch. And people would always give us like these long lists. And sometimes it would be helpful. But other times I felt like I basically had to ditch the list. Um, and when I reached out to you and wanted to talk about self care, it actually kind of spurred on like different thoughts for me of things that I've been doing, but that I didn't quite like look at it in the way that I looked at it getting ready for this. So for me, the first thing for people to do is to sit down with a blank piece of paper or some quiet time and think about the things that bring you joy. Um, I'm sure a lot of the people listening are like you and I, they're moms, they have full-time careers, and life is really, really busy. So thinking about what actually brings you joy, because it might not be one of those things on the 101 lists of self-care things to do. Um, so I figured I would share a few of my examples. And what I actually started looking at as well is that I have like short-term self-care fixes that can typically happen today if I decide for them to happen today. And then there's long term that kind of actually fit in with my short term. So, one of my favorite ways of self care is taking a freaking nap. Like, that is just one of my favorites. And during quarantine last spring, during the summer, my schedule was as such that typically at least 3 days a week, I got to take a nap. And it just really, really helped because I just think the stress um, of just how things are right now it's just a lot for us to take in. And a lot of people are spending more time on screens. Maybe they're working from home or, now they have to do more things virtually. It's really draining and our
Mhm.
brains just need a rest. So a nap is just a really great, like, short-term fix. And maybe it can only be 30 minutes. Maybe you can nap for longer. It just kind of depends on where you're at. When my kids were little, I would have other people come and take care of my kids on one level of the house, and I would go to the other level and take a nap. Um, just because I needed it.
Great idea.
Who doesn't need extra sleep?
How do
I
you,
mean, I
right. How do you combat those, like, those feelings of guilt, because I know as a mom, sometimes I'm like, oh, I only get to spend so much time with my kids.
Mhm.
And me taking a nap is another couple hours that I'm cutting into my kids' time, even though I love naps. But like,
Right.
how do you combat that guilt and like really make it for you?
Yeah. So I would say that I have a lot of wise women in my life who would tell me, you know, whatever you can do to be the best mom, and whether that's a nap or yoga or taking a walk or not doing the dishes, whatever it is, it's really important because it's going to, long term, it's going to show through for your kids.
Mhm.
And they see a mom that takes care of themselves. And that's just something you can't put a price tag on, you know?
Point.
And yeah. And like both my husband and I are nappers. So like on the weekends, yeah. And now, like, I mean, our kids are older. We have twin girls that are 13 and our son is 11. So they can easily self entertain. But when the kids were younger, we would let each other nap, or maybe the kids would go to grandparents for a weekend so we could just, rest and relax, you know? So I think it's valuing who you will be after you do the self-care.
That's a really
Is
good
kind of
point.
what I see it.
Hannah's
Yeah.
saying mom guilt is the worst.
It is. And there's only one person like inflicting mom guilt on us, and it's ourselves. There's no
Mhm.
mom squad out there like sending us a text, up, saw you nap today, you missed time to play blocks. Nobody's saying that. It's like this elevated it's like this elevated version of like this perfect mother that doesn't exist that we're like striving to be.
Mhm.
So that's all in our head. And I think if we can
Yeah.
just demystify that and be like, hey, you know what? I have a lot of great qualities as a mom, and I'm not going to hit it out of the park with every single thing, you know?
Mhm.
So I think just like giving yourself grace
Like
as
I can be
well.
a good enough mom and that's
Oh,
okay.
right. Or, part of my French, I can be a shitty mom sometimes and like pull it together. Like I smiled at my kids before they got out of the van in the morning. Way to go. I got that.
Those
Some days
small
are
things.
like that. Some days are like that. You just wait, Rachel. I'm
Oh,
not saying that toddlerhood is easy because it is not. It is ridiculous.
well, I just
But
told you how my daughter cut her hair right before
I
this.
love it. I think every kid like has to do it, right?
Oh my gosh.
Now, if you had twins, then they would cut each other's, which is also highly entertaining. And that still happens at my house. My girls are 13, and I'll be like, "What happened to your hair?" "Oh, she cut it a little."
Oh my goodness. So much to look forward to as a mom, huh?
Oh, every moment.
So what else do you do for self-care then? So taking a
Yeah.
nap.
Yep. So another one of my favorites, and I actually was from my mom. I don't do it. My mom had a routine. Like every Saturday morning, she took a bath. Like that's what she did. That was like her unwind time. You didn't interrupt her. You knew you would have her attention after she was out of her bath. So I love taking baths as well. It's like essential oils, Epsom salt, baking soda, and another one of my girlfriends like took it up to the next level because like sometimes I have a glass of wine when I'm taking a bath. She also taught me you can watch your Netflix in the tub. And I was like, I could get in another show? Oh my God. So sometimes I'll do that, but other times too, I just want like soft music or quiet or whatever that day calls for. Um, so that's another one. I also love hiking and going for walks. And so I like going to different places. So I work at a school as a para. And so when our kids have days off of school, so do I, which is really nice. So over MEA, I went to 2 different state parks. Kids didn't want to go with me, and I'm like, that's fine. But I just like exploring new places and like doing my own thing. And last weekend when I was at the mall at Eddie Bauer, I found the perfect new hiking backpack, and it is now on my Christmas list. So those things that I love being in nature and just being able to do my own thing. So that's another one. Another one I just started incorporating is stillness. 7 to 10 minutes every morning. I just set the timer on my phone. I sit in the exact spot that I'm sitting, which is my comfortable writing chair in our bedroom. And nobody interrupts me because the door is still closed. Mom could still be asleep, right? um, and then another big one for me is lunch or coffee with a girlfriend. And so right now I'm adjusting that to do more, Google Meets or Google Duo, whatever we need to do to stay connected. And I'm especially reminded of that as we're going into another period of less contact with people, and just making sure that once or twice a week I'm getting some of those times with a girlfriend, because that just really lifts me up. So those are kind of like my top 5. Now, somebody else, it could be totally different than that. It could be yoga. It could be trying out a new class. There's so many different things, but I really encourage people to look within, like what brings you joy. And especially for moms, like it's really important. And there can be things you can do, like you can have your favorite tea while you're playing with your kids. It doesn't always have to be like this big, okay, I'm taking an hour for myself. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. So yeah, I think it's really important to find what those things are.
Yeah, I love.
And
Sorry.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I love how you've really like made it fit for what are your loves, like what things make you feel positive or fulfill you, because like for some
Mhm.
people sitting in silence would be like really hard.
Torture.
Yeah, torture. And then for others like it's amazing, like I love just silence, or like even just hearing some white noise. There's just some comfort to like just that really like relaxed
Mhm.
sound. But yeah, just finding things and making it okay to do it by yourself too. Like if your friend or if your kids don't want to come along, just saying like, okay, if you guys don't want to go, I'm still gonna go, and really
Right.
prioritizing you. I think that's a big part of self-care.
Yeah. And I think when we get filled up, like we operate differently because we have taken care of ourselves. And so like some of my like longer term things, is making sure that I do get 8 to 9 hours of sleep. every night if possible. Um, I want to be able to go on a hiking trip, take like a 2 or 3 day hiking trip where I'm really stretching myself, and doing something different. One of the things I do typically once or twice a year for like extended stillness is I go to a hermitage, and I go for typically 3 days and 2 nights. And I'm just able to, I'm writing my memoir right now, so I love having like just uninterrupted time to write, and to walk and to sleep and to nourish my body well with food. Um, that would be another like short-term thing. When you're at the grocery store, pick out something that you really, really love, and it's only for you. It's not for anybody else, and you get to stash it wherever you need to stash it to make that happen.
I swear my husband's a hawk. He'd find it. He just knows.
You might need a safe. But like, I don't know, I was at a school thing recently, and somebody brought like LaCroix berry water, and I hadn't had that flavor before, or I hadn't had it for a while, and I was like, oh my gosh, I really like this one. So I got, a 12 pack, and of course, one of my daughters right away when I came home, can I have some of that berry water? And I'm like, you can have one, but you can't have one every day. Like, I don't even have one every day. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of like it's just my treat, especially because like I'm not drinking alcohol right now. So having a bubbly water is just like my treat. So, yeah. And then just another thing would be, it's just been really dark this November. There hasn't been a ton of sunlight. Christmas is coming around the corner. I'm typically you don't do anything Christmas until the day after Thanksgiving. And this year I've like put out a couple of little decorations around our house just to give some sparkle.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been listening to Christmas music because it's very comforting to me. It's very soothing. And so just another like little thing that I can do for myself when the days are short,
Right.
you know? Yeah.
Well, and I love how it's like little things, because I think so many times we think we are like, oh, if we're gonna do self-care, we have to go get a massage, or we have to go, like, it has to be something big. And like,
Right.
just even with that idea of like doing little bits of Christmas here or there to start getting that, like, if that is something that brings happiness and joy, being able to have those little things and build up on it versus like boom. Or if you want the boom, hey, go for it. Like, I
Oh,
love looking at Christmas trees.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Oh yeah, that's so much fun.
Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And just like how different people decorate them. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
I've
It's
been
totally.
loving scrolling Facebook and seeing everyone's or like Christmas decorations. So
Mhm. Definitely. Definitely. One that I hadn't written down, but um, is also like when you notice like something is draining you, then to take the opportunity to step back from that, or take a break from it. Um, I'm actually, part of my self-care this month is taking a step back from a family member who just has become very draining. And I'm like, I can send them love and light and I can pray for them, but I don't need to have another phone conversation with that person.
well, and I think it falls right back on to like taking a nap, like we can't give our full self. And for me, like I love to give my best self, like if I'm gonna
Mhm.
give, I wanna give my best, right? And that's always how I've been. I like to give the best, right? But if I
Yeah.
can't, if I'm drained, it's not the best, and it's not fair to that other person. And it's probably like if it's someone that's draining me or I'm getting
Right.
drained by their behaviors, then I'm
Mhm.
not going to be probably the best me to them. And
Right.
that's not fair to them either to have,
Right.
yeah, because I know I cannot be nice sometimes if I'm annoyed. So,
Right. I think
I'm,
that's a lot of us,
I'm
you know,
aware of
it's like
this, right?
when your buttons get pushed and it's like, oh my gosh.
Yep. But the only one that's in charge of my buttons are me, you know? And so like at the end of the
Right.
day, if that means I have to take a break, then that is self-care. And I love that you brought that up because I think a lot of times we feel like, oh, it's a family member or if it's a really close friend, but we all need breaks sometimes.
Yes.
It's okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you have some favorite self-care things that you like to do, Rachel?
Oh, I'm gonna be one of those like 30-year-olds that said they would never join TikTok, but then get like this weird
Rock
happiness out of
on.
TikTok. My husband was just asking me that the other day. He's like, "Do you send these like back and forth with people?" And I was like, Yes."
Yep, I do.
I don't know. I hear so much all day as a therapist, like, and I love what I do. I get a lot of joy and happiness out of what I do because I see the change in people, but I also hear really, really tough situations all day. And to others, when I watch like a very like Ryan makes fun of me for watching what like the holiday baking channel or like
Yeah.
food or I'll watch just like really really mindless shows where
Mhm.
they're like most people I don't know just really mindless but I have to because I am so deep in really tough stuff all day that
Mhm.
if I actually will get triggered by watching like Desperate Housewives. I used to love watching that like Orange County
Oh,
Desperate Housewives, but that
yeah.
bickering was too much for me afterwards. So
Mhm.
like I think just knowing what I can watch and
Yeah.
what I can lose myself in, it's nice to lose myself in those things as long as I'm watching how much time I'm losing myself in those things. But
Right.
I love nature as well, so that like going for a
Mhm.
walk or a hike. I love audiobooks. I'm not much of a reader. I've always had
Mhm.
troubles reading for some reason, but like listening to a book, I can get lost in it and I can do the dishes and like that like turning on an
Ooh,
audiobook while I'm doing other things is self-care for me. That's I just get lost in the
nice.
story. So yeah, and our library, like you can download free audiobooks. So you just go to their
Mhm.
website and you can get free ones. So I just find ones on there that just
Oh,
throw in.
that's awesome. So
Yeah,
you're telling me that I could maybe get more dishes done if I start listening to audiobooks?
I'm telling you, like I get so much done. I throw those earbuds in and I listen to a book
Love
tape.
it.
The next thing I know, my kitchen is done.
Rachel, my husband is probably going to thank you for this tip.
Yeah. Otherwise, like I think book tapes or I love listening to podcasts too. Ever since like just helping people with their health, that's been like a huge thing of mine is inspiring myself too to focus on my own self-care and like my health. And
Yeah.
so listening to other people's inspirational stories and being connected to other people that want to have that inspiration in their life or like focus on their life goals, that's my self-care as well is like this is an interesting self-care, but it's attaching myself to other people that have the same goals. Like,
Yeah. Oh, I think
if
that's
I,
great
mhm, yeah,
because, yeah, it's just that motivational and inspirational piece. And I think we all need that too, you
yep,
know?
yep. Or turning on a
Definitely.
sermon or anything to kind of get
Mhm.
whatever's going on in my life in that moment.
Nice.
Hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And I mean, I do have to put the plug out there though for the massage. I know we were saying like, and I mean, sometimes it takes time. I used to be a massage therapist. I technically still am. I just don't practice nearly as much. But having touch, like especially like right now, is really important.
Mhm.
And I know some people are like, no touch for me. Thank you very much. Then that's fine. Like you're not a good candidate for massage. Um, but finding a therapist that you really like, that you really enjoy, and who really listens well to you and like what kind of what goals you're working on, or even if you're just like, I just need to tune out and just have a relaxation massage.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's super important.
Are there
Absolutely.
are there any like good self massage, like anything that like pressure points or anything that you would recommend for people
Yeah.
that are nervous to like go in because of COVID and everything
Yes.
or
Yep. Definitely. So everybody, like, as you get to know your body, it's like, what parts do you really enjoy having touched? So like for me, it's like if I'm starting to get a headache or something, I'm just gonna rub like all through my forehead, into the temples, just like around the jaw, come on through, just kind of do like a little facial, kind of one. And then a big thing, I mean, you can even do it while you're sitting in a meeting. You can just like touch your ear. Just get all the different parts of your ear touched because that's all connected to your head. I know.
I've never heard that before. I'm like,
Yes, just like that.
oh
Just
yeah.
like that. Yes. But you'll notice like when you kind of finish, like you're just like relieving
Oh yeah.
tension. 'Cause
Yeah, I
it
feel it
relieves
right
tension,
here.
yeah, jaw, neck. It's all, everything's connected. So too, like there's that part of your the neck that connects up, to the head. That's your suboccipital, where there's like an indent there.
Oh yeah.
That's a really, really
Well, y'all know what I'm gonna be doing after this here.
right. And then too, if you have, a friend or a partner who can give you, even just like a few minutes of like a hand massage or a foot massage or a scalp massage, like all three of those areas are going to help relax other parts of your body as well because of all of the different like meridians for like Chinese medicine, and then like acupressure points, kind of similar. And you don't have to be a trained anything to give somebody, a hand massage. just
Right.
just gently rub all the parts of their hand and each of their fingers and their thumb.
That
That's actually how I like started, like as a
really
kid. Like I would give one of my brothers, we would give each other hand massages on road trips.
sure.
Like Mitchell, I don't know if you remember Mitchell or not, my youngest brother, but yeah, we would just give each other, hand massages. And then it'd be funny, my brother Adam would be like, "Can I get one too?" And we're like, "Well, let's see how you do." And then he would like massage our hand and we're like, "No, we're good. We're just gonna trade with each other." um, but yeah, doing those little things. And like if you don't have time for a bath, you can get like a little plastic basin and just put in warm water for your feet.
Oh,
I even did that the other day. Like we were going to be watching a movie and I'm like, well, I can soak my feet like for a little while,
sorry,
and
my husband's throwing stuff
yeah.
at me. Ah, the lovely part of going live. We're talking about self-care.
I think he's trying to tell you that if you throw little, what are like balls or paper or something.
He's throwing balls at me.
Nice.
He's taking care of his needs right now. That's why he's
Yeah,
throwing at me.
apparently.
The self-care. Sorry.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it.
That's a good
And I mean,
idea though.
laughter.
Yes,
Laughter is another
laughter.
really good one.
Such a big
Like
one.
if I can go back and just watch, like I don't do it very often because I don't think of it, but like I love Saturday Night Live from like the 90s, and like
Mm-hmm.
that's like my favorite time. And so even just watching like a couple, on YouTube just lightens your mood, and laughter releases endorphins and all that good stuff. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm. Mhm.
Love laughter. Anything funny.
Oh my
Obviously.
gosh.
Yes. Well, I really, really appreciate you sharing all this stuff with me. We have a couple people sharing stuff that they like. Danny said she likes to do snowman crocheting hats for
Oh,
boys. So hopefully we
sweet.
can all share with each other. Like, please share everyone out there things that you like to
Yeah.
do because the thing about being like in isolation right now and with winter coming, some of us don't like the cold. I am not a big fan of the cold. So like
Mhm.
learning all these different things could be so helpful for other people that, like, yes, there's lists that are out there, like you're saying, Molly, like here's a list,
Right,
but like
right.
unless we hear someone else do it, it's like, oh, I've never thought of that. So it'd be awesome if
Mhm.
people just start putting what they love to do down
Yes.
below, and
Yeah.
like just share the love with everyone so that we can get some more ideas
Mhm.
out there.
Yeah, totally. And I think it helps when you talk with other people about, what they do for self-care or for hobbies. Because sometimes people don't think of hobbies as self-care, but they really are.
Mhm.
Like it's bringing you joy and you're doing something that you love. And I think about all of my friends and family who have sewn so many masks this year because they love to sew.
Right.
And that's really a gift. I
Mhm.
mean, my contribution would be like a coffee filter and a paper clip with a rubber band about it. That would be good.
I tried making some masks and it was not good. Pretty much as good as cutting my daughter's hair. I'll stick with therapy and being a health guide. That
I
that is
think
what
that's
I'll do.
I love it. I love it. Well, that's awesome.
Well, I think you gave so much like food for thought for everyone. And I love your idea of like doing short-term things, but also thinking long-term and like
Mm,
putting things out there of what you want to do, because there's nothing better than looking forward to something. And I think we should
mhm.
be realistic with what's going on and trying to like set expectations that we can actually achieve if we are, like if for some reason we still aren't able to
Yeah,
go do everything that we want.
yeah,
But we can also dream and have those other things that we want to do once things are better and let up
right,
and whatnot. So I love that
right.
idea of knowing what you need for the short term, figuring out what you need for yourself,
Mhm.
but also thinking about like long term, what brings me joy, what brings me happiness, and how can I do things to build up to that. I think that's a huge,
Yeah,
huge piece that
yeah.
I'll take
And
away.
I'll add just one other piece to that. Like, we're missing traveling. Not
Mm,
that we travel a ton, but we're still missing it. So I've started different Pinterest pages for places that we want to go. And then, like, I'll go on Airbnb sometimes, and I already have places like picked out so that when we can go, I can just put in the dates and we'll have some options,
I love
So, yeah, because it just feels good too, just to think about traveling again,
Yep.
you know,
Because we
even
will
though
be
we're
able
not
to
there
do
right
it
now.
again. Like it will
Yes,
happen. We will
the
be there.
pandemic will end.
It
It will.
will. It's just, yeah. And so like I think that's an important thing to know, like it will end, and so we can have those hopes. We will be able to
Yeah,
do those things. It's just right now we have to wait. And waiting is
right.
hard.
It is.
Yep.
It is. And I remind myself often, like, this too shall pass,
Mhm.
but then also, like, I have to remind myself when things are going really well too. Like, hold on to this moment because this too shall pass.
Right.
And another self-care piece I've been doing is appreciating the mundane.
Mm.
Like, wow, almost all the school days this year that my kids have gone to school, I have driven them to school. They have been healthy and we haven't been in a car crash.
Mhm.
Wow, that's actually pretty miraculous. Isn't that amazing?
Mhm.
And just like, I mean, that's a whole other topic too with gratitude, but but celebrating the little things.
Yep.
Like, I wish my kids were still young enough that they would want me to read to them.
Mm.
Like, it became monotonous. Like, like kindergarten, first grade, you're like, oh my God, how many stories do we have to read? But now I'm like, that part is done, you
Mhm.
know, you know, somewhat for my kids. And so those are the things too. It just, they pass. So enjoy them while you have them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, well,
Well,
I could talk forever, Rachel,
I
but
know
we better
I
wrap
could
this
too.
up.
We'll have to like jump on a call sometime and just keep talking.
Yeah,
But like,
definitely.
just even talking, I like you gave me some other, I was telling you before this that I'm just like picking out some ideas of what I want. I don't even have most of the days figured out other than what people had shared they wanted to like for the
Yeah,
rest of the series. So like I
yeah.
think talking more about long-term goals and talking about gratitude and like that
Mhm.
guilt, maybe some stuff on that could be really helpful
Yeah,
how we can be flexible. So I really
definitely.
appreciate you jumping on. I know
Yeah.
that so many people got so much from you, and you are
Mm.
like just going back to Camp World, you are definitely that light, and you have always been a light in my life. And I'm just so grateful that you're here with us and that you're able to just share with everyone. So I love you so
Thank
much.
you. I love you, Rachel.
All right. Well, thank you so much
Have a
for
great
jumping on.
night.
Yes, I'm
Yes.
gonna. All right.
All right.